Hello, Las Vegas, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing to our channel, most importantly. We really appreciate it. This week on Golf at the Park, we're going to hear Dan's story. We're going to welcome Dan Herrera in to the show. Dan, thanks for coming in, man.
Yes, sir. Let's do this.
El Dan, as some of you might know him. We'll get to that a little bit later, but let's just start at the top. How old were you and who introduced you to golf?
Well, I think it was back post-college. So I always tell people there's three kind of golfers. There's the guys that want to booze and just booze. Yep. There's the guys that want to gamble. And there's old athletes that still want to find competition.
That's a good synopsis.
And when you're mixed in between all three, you're going to golf.
You got all of them.
So, yeah.
You
so
check all the boxes.
I probably have put all the boxes on myself as well. But, yeah, it was like probably 05, 06 where I was like, oh, this looks fun. It looks easy. I could swing a baseball bat. It wasn't fun and easy.
So did you grow up playing baseball?
Yeah, so I played a little bit of everything, but just having that natural baseball swing. So, like for me, I was born in LA.
You're a big dude.
Yeah, I was born in LA in the 80s, and so there's a LA tattoo right here for Fernando Mania.
Nice.
And my dad wanted me to be a left-handed person.
Yeah.
So he made me do everything, and he said, you can't leave the breakfast table unless you eat your breakfast left-handed. So as a kid, I would just be hungry. It's hard to tell now, but yeah, I tried to do everything left-handed, didn't work, and then finally Dad's like, all right, go ahead and be naturally.
Oh, so you were trying to self-teach yourself to be ambidextrous.
It was not easy. So then, yeah, just grew up in Dodgerville, LA. Went to probably 5 games a week as a kid. And
how fun.
Yeah, and it's never gone away. In 17, I think, living in Huntington Beach, we did 30 games that season. And I got to go to all 4 World Series games.
Oh, wow.
So, and from there, it was like, all right, cool. Like, this is fun, but what's me? So, golf kind of got its bug, and here we are.
All right. So, tell me about the beginning.
Oh, it was ugly. So, I think I have a video of what the swing used to be, and it was straight baseball.
Right.
And I met my gal about 5 years ago, and she's like, oh, by the way, come over for Thanksgiving. You're golfing with Dad. You're on his team. And this was pre-COVID. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean.
So you've already got 15 years into the game.
Well, it was literally, I've been trying.
Right.
And having fun for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And then 5 years ago was when it literally, boom, hey, you got to take this serious.
So that's when you don't get bit until late.
Yeah.
And this is with your father-in-law?
Correct.
Okay, so how's this happen?
So it's, you're golfing with Dad, you're on his team. It's his traditional Thanksgiving 4-man scramble. And I'm like, I'm not good enough because he's a scratch golfer. And I'm like, this is going to be embarrassing.
Intimidating.
Oh, very much so. We ended up winning that day. So
Fun.
Luckily, it was a matter of we just have to use my drive every 2 holes per 9. And then from there, I was like, all right, well, that one's like 200 on the fairway. He's like, we're using it. I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. You know, those guys are like 280, 300 out. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we're using this little chip shot drive.
Right.
And then from there, I got back to Vegas. And before 5-iron was even constructed in Area 15, I walked in and I'm like, hey, I need lessons. So since 5-iron opened its doors, I went to Sean, and Sean's been helping me with the coaching and stuff like that.
Sean's come up in this show a lot. So, Sean, we're going to want to get you on.
Sean Solo, I call him the
Sean Solo.
The Han Solo, the Jedi Master, and we're all of his little apprentices. So
I love that.
Yeah, he's taken me from high 20s to I peaked at a 12 handicap and working through injuries now. I'm chasing that single digit again, but
fun.
It goes up and down.
So you've gotten better in the last 5 years,
yes,
for sure. Take us through some of the things that you remember, some of the highlights of the things that Sean's helped you with and taught you.
Oh, it's just a matter of him looking at the individual and the individual swing, right? Because a lot of people hear golf lessons and then they're like, oh, my coach is going to give me the Rory swing or the Tiger swing. It's no, my body can't do what your body does, right? So Sean has a baseball background also. So when he sees a baseball swing, he's like, we got to lose that. You're wristy. You're hinging. You're this. I I have, unlike Shakira, no hips, so mine will lie, and I had no turn. So it was a matter of first few lessons, hey, bud, just work on the mechanics. Make your turn, make your turn. Focus on your backswing. Okay, now we got a backswing. Focus on the follow through. Focus on your finish. And it's just a matter of each little step, each point. You know, you're at point 1, point 2, 3, 4, 5, get through them. And it's been great for me. It's just a matter of, hey, I'm going through it. Do you have some time? What do you see? Well, you reverted back to this. Fix that hinge. Cool, it's gone. And then you go out, you feel good. And I always say the worst round you'll play is the one after your lesson, because you're going through it and you hear the voice, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And then all of a sudden, stop worrying, let it work, go through it.
Clear the mechanism.
Yeah, so I tell people I'm a 6-6-6 golfer, unfortunately, but it's 6 holes to loosen up, 6 holes to score, 6 holes to have fun. If I'm having too much fun, it could fall apart. But if you're cruising, you're like, all right, cool, you're going to have a great end of the round.
That's fun. So you end up having fun and playing as well as you played in the middle six.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a good vibe to get going.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the. Let's talk about your clubs. What'd you start with? When did you start changing?
I think the first set I ever bought was, oh, it's funny to say this, the Walmart Dunlap pre-package set.
It's not funny to say that. I'm guessing a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, I tell everyone you need to have that before you could actually golf. And then from there, I am a brand junkie. So if Nike wants to throw me a sponsor, I'll take it. I went to the Nike coverts. So I bought coverts online, full set of irons. It came with a driver. And I still have the driver because I realize now they're relics. And I got rid of the Nikes. And I'm really sad that those irons aren't at home anymore. So
you got rid of the Nikes and you miss them.
Correct. And
so what'd you go with?
I went from there. It's going to be an awesome story right here. My daughter's name is Maverick. So once Callaway launched the Maverick line, it was only perfect that I have Mavericks in my bag.
Yeah,
so it's like, this is fun. My golf clubs remind me of my daughter. And now if you guys see me on the course, you'll see that I wear her little Jordan cover, her Jordans. I was like, oh, she only got to wear them for like 2 or 3 times,
so
right?
They don't
because
fit her.
Kids don't grow out of shoes, right? But they fit my putter. So now I have her shoes as my putter covers.
How great.
Yeah. So I went to the Mavericks, and then recently I decided to, like I said, I'm a big brand guy, and I'm a BK lover. I love me some Brooks Koepka, even though he's the bad guy. I'm the guy that cheers for Darth Vader in Star Wars.
That's our second Brooks Koepka fan.
Yeah. So I love his sneaker line, his shoes, and just his attitude, ZFG. So I went to the MK2s. So I have a Strixon mix bag right now. So I got a combo set from them on irons. I went to the Cleveland wedges. Shout out to Big Matt for the Mizuno putter. He gifted me a Mizuno putter that I call her Delaney because she likes to perform. And so I have her in the bag, and then I just can't get away from Callaway drivers. I went to a Titleist for a bit, and it just wasn't clicking for me. And then I went back to the Rogue Triple Diamond, and it's marvelous.
And that's your driver.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Let's talk about some of the guys in town and the clubs. You overlap with everybody. Mm-hmm. You just shouted out Big Matt. Big Matt comes up in a lot of these episodes, and he's going to come on for his second episode either late this year or early next year. So we're excited about that, buddy. Yeah, so you're involved with Tropicana Golf Club. You're involved with all of these different things. How did that start? When did you start meeting these guys and how?
So I think it organically happened at Las Vegas Golf Center. So I was out there hitting balls. Steven Scales was out there hitting balls, and me and him just clicked. It's like, oh, where are you from, bud? Oh, you're from Long Beach. Oh, you got a palm tree tattoo. So do I. What's that? Oh, that's my Long. Well, mine's Huntington Beach. So we kind of met there, and this is during COVID, so we were just out there grinding. And through him, I met Manu, and then it was a matter of, hey, come check out this random golf club event. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then from there, you meet people from every avenue, right?
Yeah.
And For me, I kind of like to play the game of who's from Vegas and who's born and raised here because it's very rare. And I think it's almost been like 1 in 5, 1 in 6 people are like Vegas born and raised, where everybody else like me is a transplant. And from there, it just kept going. And Random Golf Club turned into VGN. And then VGN and then Tropicana came out. And I was like, I just love every movement. You know, it's a matter of get out there and play more. So Tropicana, play more golf.
Yeah.
How do you get out there and do that? Well, if you get your footprint into a lot of different groups, people, every avenue, you're going to be on the golf course one day or another.
There's always something to do, right? Yeah, because they're having events that overlap, and if each group is having one event a month or 2 events a month, there's always something happening.
Correct.
Which is really fun. Let's talk about the taco challenge, because you were a part of that.
Yeah.
You won the taco challenge. Walk us through that from Cinco de Mayo.
It sounded really good on paper. And then as we're going through it and devouring tacos, and it just, your belly gets heavy. So people are like, oh, I could drink a 6-pack of beer and eat 6 tacos, not a big deal. Well, when you're just doing tacos for mulligans and you're laughing and having a blast, all of a sudden you're at the tee box on your 4th taco and it's the first hole.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, all right. So it was a blast. We came out here. Shout out to Angel Park for taking care of us that day. You guys put us out on the mountain course. We went out, and it was a blast, man. It was, well, you kind of get a reward for a bad golf shot, so maybe it's not too bad, you know. And sometimes, like at the point, I told Matt, I go, I'm going to just have 3 tacos right now and preload the mulligans.
Yeah.
So that when we get to the green, you know, if you miss the putt, you get that extra one. So it was a good day. We went out, I think, shot pretty under par.
I was going to say, how'd the scoring end up? Because you guys were shooting for a number.
Yeah, so we were competing against each other at first, and then it got to the point where, hey, we need to just compete with each other. So once we got into that little scheme, basically I think every hole was like 1 or 2 under from there. So it was a fun day.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. You guys played right up till sunset, and I thought that was awesome. So you met these guys at the golf center, but let's talk a little bit. One of the big parts of the show that's come up now is consumption of golf, and that can be a lot of different things. Social media is the one that this show deals with the more, but just simply watching tournaments, following golfers. Maybe it's Golf Channel, maybe it's Netflix. How do you most consume your golf content?
So I consume each and every avenue of golf content.
So you like it all, YouTube, long form,
everything. So I like the way that Foreplay takes off with their platform. I like Bob Does Sports, Good from its inception to where they are now, and then just following tournaments when we can. So if there's a tournament in California, I'll try to make sure that my friends back home are like, hey, let's jump on this one. Shriners, I make it my commitment to go watch them. And so, like, I mean, you get to see some amazing golf here. PGA switched it up on us a little bit this year, so the quality of the field wasn't there, but I got to walk with Jenna Sims and follow Brooks for a full round. And I think he was playing with, like, Victor Hovland and Tom Kim that year, and I met Abram Answer, and so I was talking to him in Spanish, and so I was like, hey, man, love the Flecha Azul tequila. I love what you're doing with Marky Mark. And he came over and he's like, oh, no way, you're a connoisseur. I'm like, yeah, I've actually been to your distillery in tequila where they manufacture your stuff. And I know a lot of the other master distillers out there. And he's like, I'd never figured I'd see that like out randomly on the golf course, but it's cool, man. And just going through every avenue and following people and just like even Roger Steele. Roger Steele was probably the first one that was like, don't be trash. And I'm like, dude, I am trash. Like, we need to fix that.
Roger Steele was the first one who came up, other than Eric Anders Lang, early in this show's inception. He's definitely a pioneer and great with short form content, you know, on Instagram, which is fun. And let's get to El Dan.
Yes,
you speak in Spanish and you've got a fluent background. So tell us a little bit about your history and why your tag is El Dan.
So for me, it's always been from when I was a kid to now, I'm a big WWE fan. So personalities, creating the persona. And I was like, okay, I've always been, oh, hi, I'm Daniel. No, you're Dan. All right, cool. I'm Dan. So then I just basically ran with that. And then it was Big Dan. Big Dan. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not big. Jokingly, we have a good friend that's like 6'7", 3 bills, and we call him Tiny. So I was like, all right. So then for me, I was like, all right, I just want to make sure that when I'm in Vegas for my career, I'm bilingual, the culture, understanding, like, we need to get like the Hispanic community and Mexicans golfing. So I was like, what better way than just the Dan, but I'm not the Dan, I'm
Right.
El Dan.
El Dan.
So I came up with that and I just ran with it. And then one of the days we actually had a RGC event at 5 Iron, and Mommy came, Golf Mommy. Shout out Ale.
Yeah, she was on the show a couple of weeks ago.
And she came. We did closest to the pin on 7 at Pebble, and she put it within 10 feet, and then I put it inside of that, and I won. So I just started laughing. She's like, how does this big guy with this awkward swing like get a little closer? And then it just awesomely happened that she has her branding of Mommy, Golf Mommy.
Yeah.
And she showed up and
Perfect
she's like,
pairing.
she's all, I have a hat that says Papi. I need 3. So now it's funny because like with my daughter, I'll wear my Papi hat, and shout out to her to set that up for not just herself on the mommy end, but for everybody in the community with the Papi end. And it's just a matter of doing everything we can in English and Spanish and letting people understand that this is for everybody.
It's funny that you brought up wrestling because I've had this thought in the back of my head. Some of you have heard me mention this, where there's so many different groups and clubs and they all compete differently. But I've been thinking and trying to come up with a way that we could have a competition where each group enters people, and it doesn't have to be, it's more for fun.
Yeah.
But my idea being that I would be the wrestling promoter and we'd try to get caricatures of each
Every
right,
person.
right, because Tropicana is so unique and Random Golf Club's so unique and the Golf Fathers, and I was like, oh, we can do these big versions of what these groups are and have them compete, and it would be fun. So that's something that I'm still running over in my head. But it's funny you use that analogy.
I'll throw it at you right now. You could do the fatal 4-way. You have the top person from each group. That's their representation, and you do just a basic, maybe a 6-hole battle. 2 on 2.
That's fun.
And then the next 2, and you just keep going, or Battle of the Nines, where.
I love that.
I mean, we could round robin it. I mean, if you want to go Royal Rumble on it, there's going to be 30 of us. So.
Who thought that we'd have a wrestling angle to this show? That's so fun. Let's go back to Sean a little bit because you've talked a lot about practicing and playing. How much when you were, I guess, probably those first couple of months or year with Sean, how much were you practicing?
So I always tell people when they get down on themselves, and I remind myself of it, the law of 10,000 hours, right?
Yep,
in order to be
well.
a master of something, you have to invest 10,000 hours. Well, when you look at a golf bag, it's not 10,000 hours total. It's your putter, your wedges, your low irons, your high irons, and you have to put in the hours for each thing. So I made it a point right before COVID and into COVID that I have to hit golf balls 2 to 3 times a week, whether it was 3 range sessions, whether it was a lesson and 2 range sessions, 2 rounds of golf and range, but it's a matter of not falling off because that's how I made the big jump, right? You don't just lose 10 strokes on the golf course by going only to the golf course.
Right.
And people want to improve on the golf course, you're not going to. And my main thing is playing with people I chase. So I want to play with Big Matt. I want to play with Manu. I want to play with Scales. I want to play with Mateo. I want to play with just anybody
who are good.
Who's a stick, I like seeing Joe hit it. I like watching Breakfast Ball, seeing Dan and all the guys from VGN. And you're like, cool, they're in the lower flight. How do I get there? Well, you got to chase and put in hours.
Yeah.
So I told myself 3 times, and then the baby came, and it was a little bit different.
Changed it.
Yeah, but then during COVID, we had the blessing that the country club in Victorville basically said, if you have a cart, we're going to manicure the course, play what you want.
Yeah, I noticed when we were talking before the show that you mentioned that your father-in-law is a member there. Tell us a little bit about that golf course and your father-in-law.
So father-in-law is a 26-year retired Army Ranger who played golf his whole life. And as a retired gentleman at the ripe age of young 50s, he now goes to work, and it's 3 to 5 days on the golf course.
Good for him.
So when he's like, hey, I'm going to go work. Do you want to come? Absolutely, Wait, let me make these calls. I got to take care of my morning. We'll go in the afternoon. Or, hey, let's get that early round, and I'll work in the afternoon kind of deal. But, yeah, so it was a matter of going out with him and getting there. But the initiation of it was not as fun as it should be, right? It's, hey, you're going to go play with Dad, and you're competing against his buddy, and you guys are going to play.
Right.
I'm like, for fun or money? I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to have to pay both ends of the bets because I'm an embarrassment, So we went out, and we won that scramble. It was just a two-man scramble against his buddy and another friend, and that was that. And that was a day where it's like, oh, buddy, you need to turn it on if you're going to be playing on this golf course. So it used to be Spring Valley Lake was the country club. It just got actually bought out by the management team at Dove Canyon in Laguna Beach, Laguna Niguel, and they have made this course immaculate. So now it's Bear Valley Country Club, and it's right in the heart of Victorville, and it's a gym. And I go from here and playing there, and you think, oh, it's not much of a difference, high desert. Their greens just are dumb right now. So they've actually revamped it, switched it up to where their 10 is now their 1, and they've just been doing immaculate stuff to that course, but those are the fastest greens I'll ever put on.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. They had them up to like a 13, 14 for their member and their club championship. And as funny as it is, just like you said, how do you bring more people to different golf events? I actually took their club champion with me to a Tropicana event.
Oh, fun.
So we went down to SoCal and played down there. He did great. Won the tournament, won his new Strixon golf bag.
Oh, how fun.
And came back home, and it's like, yeah, this is fun, because just like everything else, like RGC, all are welcome, right? So it's a matter of creating that inclusive environment and meeting the people and how do I golf with the next person?
Yeah.
So I put that Tom Brady mentality in golf when people are like, hey, Jed, what's your favorite course? Do you have one that sticks out to you? When they ask me that, I just say, the next one.
Yeah.
Because the next course you play is always going to be the last memory you have of the sport. So it don't matter if you're playing a Muni, unless you're in Carson, California, where it's all dirt.
Right.
You're not going to say that course, right? But you come out here, you play TPC, you play Angel Park, and there's going to be things that stand out here that you're not going to get at TPC.
Right.
And you're going to get...
And vice versa.
Correct. And you're going to get stuff at TPC that you're like, holy crap, I've never seen this before. And recently we went down to Palm Springs and played Hideaway. Same thing. Club champion, had a friend, family member, invited us out. We got to play down there, and I was in awe. And then when I told my friends about it, they're like, oh, but the Madison's across the street. And I'm like, yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
So we didn't play that, but I just love every aspect of it and just getting new people and seeing good golf. There's nothing better than, oh, you think you're good? And then you see the next person, you're like, damn, they're great. And then you go watch Shriners and you see what we consider now the lower end of the professional field. And you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn. So
you've traveled a lot to play golf. Mm-hmm. Where are some of your favorite courses that you've played?
Arizona, Scottsdale has some fun stuff.
Yeah.
I have a big, huge regret in my life where father-in-law and a group of buddies from Bear Valley, they did a Pebble tour. They did 5 days up there.
And they go play them all.
And they played them all. Spanish, Pebble, everything. And I think it was like $2,000 for all the rounds and accommodations, where now if you try to do that, you're not looking at that pricing. And I had a fit, and I didn't go. And I was like, well, it's January. They're going to get crappy weather. Ha to them, right? Perfect. 80 degrees, no wind, coastal in January in shorts. And I'm like, that's like bucket listable, So, but I try to play everywhere I go. And We got a trip planned out to Hawaii in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to try to sneak in around up there. The most memorable that sticks out to me is we did a wedding at the Hard Rock in Cancun, and we got to play the Hard Rock course down there. So rented everything, and it was just a matter of showing up and playing. So you don't have expectations of performance because I'm a tall dude. Clubs that I rent are not going to be my +1 Strixons,
Sure.
right? We get out there and we just have a blast. You have, I don't even know what these things are called, but you could see them when they play down there every year, those little giant squirrel looking beaver
wild.
animals. And we actually had to alternate in the cart. So if we had food or something in the cart, he had to go hit his shot. I stayed in, vice versa. I go hit my shot, stay in. The one time that we did actually both get out, all of our food got taken by these animals into the jungle. And it was like Jurassic Park. You just see the little bag of Doritos swirling down. And
That's crazy.
I was like, oh man, that could have been anything else in there, right? Like, it's been known that they'll take your wallet and then they have to mail it to you if they find it. But you know, you're in Mexico. How are you going to get home without
no
your
kidding.
stuff? So that one was a fun one. And I really, really, really want to get out to Myrtle Beach. I want to do a couple of rounds out there. But it's like I said, the best round for me is always the next one.
Myrtle is cool. There you can get talk about getting all different kinds of golf courses in Myrtle Beach. There are super nice golf courses. There are super not, and it's fun. I mean, because it's built on the beach and golf, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's different for me too. Looking back at some of the courses I have played, like playing Stadium in Palm Springs as a high handicapper.
That's fun.
You know, I'm
or
like,
was it intimidating?
yeah, and you know, island greens and trouble everywhere. And at that point in golf, your mentality is don't hit the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, I'm going to aim here now, you know? So like golfing with mommy, she's like, what's your mentality, Dan? I'm like, well, there's bunkers around the green. I don't want to hit the bunkers. And she's like, you got to get that out of your head and say, there's 20 yards of green. Let me hit the back of the green and come back towards the pin. I'm like, oh, okay. So learning the different levels of thought process for people on the golf course and implementing what works for us, like that was a big deal for me. But for us too, it was, we would do Stagecoach out in Coachella Valley Country Festival. And when I got the bug, I told everyone, hey guys, we're out here on Thursday. We're not going to the festival till 2 p.m. We got 8 to 12 to golf. Let's go golf down there. So Terra-Lago has a small spot in my heart because we played that, I think, 3 years in a row before the festival. So then you get the golf to kick off a 3-day country music festival.
Yeah.
And that was a blast.
That's fun. That's so cool. Almost 20 years in the game. What are some things that you haven't liked about golf or that you would change about golf? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, the main thing, and I was just talking about these with some friends, it's unless like you're gambling, I guess you could say, for a substantial amount of money, which I won't do. I'm not good enough to do that. Like, don't take the game so serious. You know, it's fun. It's therapeutic. Like, we get 5 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours sometimes, depending on what you're waiting on. It's therapy, you know? And you're out there with 3 other personalities. You don't know what's going on with their life. They don't know what's going on with yours. Chop it up, and at the end of the day, you get home and vent. Like, hey, so-and-so is going through this. You know, you could see it on the golf course. It's one of those things like, do you leave it at the front door? No, because sometimes you do have to vent, right? And it's tougher for dudes to do it too. So when you have a mixed group of guys and girls on the golf course, you're probably just having friendly banter. But when you're playing with your buddies, you kind of go out there and, hey, dude, I'm going through this, you know. But it's a tough game. Don't make it harder.
Yeah.
That's my main gripe. We're not pros. You're in a divot. Move it. You know, divots and fairways is my biggest pet peeve in golf. Fix them. If you're in it, the pros should be able to get. You shouldn't be penalized for bombing a 250, 70, 90, 350 yard drive, and it's in somebody's wedge shot. Like, get rid of that, you know? So, and that's my main thing. It's like when you're having friendly game, don't make it harder for people. Don't be the prick that's like, oh, you're in the rocks. Yeah, you're 2 inches in a rock.
Right.
I have new clubs. I don't want to hit the rocks, Jed. I'm going to move it. Don't give me a stroke penalty. Are we playing for $500 a hole? hit it from the rocks.
That's right.
You're playing for $2 a hole, move the ball.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing on it. It's this game's hard. We put a lot of hours into it. Make it fun. Have fun.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That's come up a lot in the show. I want to talk a little bit about you talking about men and 4 and 5 hours and therapy and mental health. That's coming up more and more frequently in this show, and I do think there's a stigma, and it's a stigma because it's true. It's ingrained in us. I think younger generations of men are starting to change this a little bit, and I hope it'll continue to happen. But yeah, people don't take advantage of what that time out on the golf course really is.
Correct.
As much as they probably could.
Yeah. And so my last round, actually, over the weekend, I played a local track here with my buddies before going to the When We Were Young festival. So I guess festivals in golf, put them together. You guys should make packages, you know?
Yeah, right.
If you're traveling to Vegas for a music festival,
It's a perfect idea.
golf, Angel Park, you know?
Yeah.
So we went out and we had a threesome, and there was an 83-year-old gentleman that was playing solo, and he's like, I'm going to play 9. I'll ride by myself. I'm like, you're not riding by yourself. Get in my car. So now
Love that.
he gets in my car, and we're chatting it up. And I haven't even told my father-in-law yet. It reminded me a lot of his pops, who passed away, rest in peace. And I was like, man, this is probably what it would have been like to share a golf cart with him.
How neat.
And his whole mentality was, I just want to shoot my age at 83. And it's like, go to the front tees. We'll go to the front tees with you. We'll move back occasionally. We'll come back for you and take your time. So yeah, it was a longer drug out round, but it was different, man. Seeing his perspective on the game and just asking people, like, I'm the guy that wants to put my music on. I want to listen to Fleetwood Mac. I want to listen to Morgan Wallen. Sometimes I want to listen to Tiesto. So it depends on the day. And first thing I do, hey, do you guys mind noise? No. But then when you get to the tee box, you have to be quiet. I'm like, nah, have fun, and we'll give you the occasional, oh, that's a breakfast ball. Go ahead and re-go.
Right.
Noise. But it's just a matter of getting every avenue person and breaking down. Like, my favorite is just meeting a person organically that wasn't in your friend group. And funny thing that I say that because right here on this first tee box on Mountain, me and my buddy Victor were playing. We just booked a twosome. We had a straggler 3. Out of that random person, it was Kevin Nahani.
Oh, wow.
So we get Mr. Nahani to join us before we even knew about Tropicana coming to Vegas.
Hi, Kevin Nahani.
Too expensive. And he golfs with us. And I was just like, holy crap, bro. Like, you're a good golfer. You're a cool dude. Let's do this again. And he's like, we will. And then all of a sudden, I get the call, hey, Nahani and Bogey are coming together for Tropicana Vegas. I'm like, small world,
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to happen. I've actually played out here randomly with my father-in-law, and we got paired with a third from Apple Valley, which is their backyard in Victorville. So now it's like, hey, now we go to California. Do you want to come play with us, bud? Sure. So it's just mixing the paths and finding everyone and finding the fun to it.
Yeah. The people at home that are following along are going to ask, did the 83-year-old gentleman get close?
He started hot. He started, I think he started par, then he went triple, and he only played through 9. He's like, I don't have the energy today to play 18. And he's like, I'll keep scoring until I blow up. Well, he didn't blow up. So can he shoot his age? Yes.
That's great.
But when I saw him and his mentality, I think I started par birdie. And I'm like, oh, crap, I'm 1 under through 3. You're now 3 over through 3. Like, this could be a good day.
Yeah.
And then we loosened up, and the real Dan showed up, and a chunked wedge here and there. And all of a sudden, I'm carting my doubles, my bogey. And I was like, I think it was my first over par score was after 4 or 5 holes. And I was like, oh, man, this could be like the day.
Yeah.
And then, no, it's not. And then we didn't finish the round. So I'm like, oh, that's great. It doesn't count against me.
That's so good. What's Eldan's favorite thing about golf?
Just everything, man. Just seeing it through other people's eyes and waking up to my 3-year-old daughter saying, I want to watch Gabby's Dollhouse. And then she knows that it's the weekend and she's like, Dad, are we watching golf? I'm like, yeah. And now we drive by a golf course. Dada, are you and Papu going to play that course? And I'm like, I want to. So it's just seeing it and the next generation and what people are doing to it. The thing that frustrates me is the parent that wasn't the greatest golfer that wants to make their kid that guy or that girl.
The Earl Woods effect. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it worked for Tiger.
Yeah, it worked for one.
You know,
it worked
so
for exactly
but
one.
That is like the small population, and it's a matter of finding the joy and translating the joy to other people. It's like, what do I love about golf? I could have a person here from Mexico playing. I could have a person from Germany playing. I could have anyone from anywhere in the world, and we can't even communicate.
Yeah.
But nice shot is universal.
Yeah.
Great putt is universal. Like, holy crap is universal.
It's universal.
So the fact that there is the universal aspect to the sport for the good, and the other 4-letter word that we scream is universal.
Yep, that's
so
true.
when you're on the golf course, and I'm not talking about 4, because I'll say that a lot, but I'll say the other one more. And yeah, it's just a matter of just seeing the vantage point from other people. Like, people look as the random single as, oh crap, we have a person that's not in our crew. And I'm like, no, this is
Too
fun.
many people look at it that way.
I look at it as, oh, let's see what kind of, is he the degenerate? Is he the gambler? Is he the old athlete? Where do they fall into play, you know?
Yeah.
Or she, right? Sometimes you get that. We just had a gal from Tropicana that came into town and was like, hey guys, I want to golf. We accommodated. Some
Shout
guys
out
were able,
Tropicana ladies.
Yeah,
That's pretty new.
Yep, and
fun.
And Random Golf Club ladies too.
And Random Golf Club ladies.
Because there's nothing better than you having interest in something and your partner or significant other finding a liking to it.
Right.
You know, because how do I justify watching 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours of golf Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? When it's a major, I don't care. I get TV. But the Ryder Cup, you're going to laugh. I'll show you later. My daughter woke up at 6. I'm like, great. I get coffee and golf, right? Oh, no. I got Gabby's Dollhouse on the big TV with surround sound and Ryder Cup on the side on mute. And I was like, hey, it's both. You know, she's getting to watch both of it, but I get to watch what I want and see her. And she'll be on her cartoon and she's like, oh, Dada, he missed. And I'm like, yeah, he did. You know, and so like the fact that my 3-year-old could see the game of golf and be, oh, that's good. Oh, that's bad. Or I want to do it. Or she'll go to the front room and grab my putter. And I'm like, no, I get kind of Tiger. Not mine, baby. Don't touch my putter. Here's your putter.
So you've already slowly started introducing her to the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's
absolutely.
Fun. Yeah. Chris has already done that. There are a few that that have gotten their kids. Yeah. Which is so neat and so fun.
I told the guys that my goal is to do a father-child match and see which kid could win the money.
That's great.
And then it goes to their piggy bank and not to us.
That's the end, Dan, of the first segment of the show. We're going to jump straight into our par 5 questions, which we ask same 5 questions every week and come up with different answers. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Favorite golf movie?
All of them.
You just love them.
Yeah. I mean, they're just Tin Cup is
That's
good.
a good answer.
Everybody always goes like Billy Madison, but I think Tin Cup, I think Costner just does it for me with sports. Field of Dreams.
He hasn't made a bad sports movie. They're all, I mean, I guess he hasn't.
He made a sports movie about a bad team with the Cleveland Browns. Sorry, Big Mike.
But I loved Draft Day. And I really loved For Love of the Game. Was that what it was? No. That's a golf movie. What was the baseball movie he did where he's throwing a no-hitter? I can't remember. But anyway, that was pretty good too. I think all of them is a great answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, even Amazon Prime just came out with a like satire golf movie. They try to kind of do Caddyshack all over again. But I think like when you go back to the OG, Caddyshack just is a hit.
Sure.
You could watch that and it comes up. But if I get invested and I'm like, put the phone down, watch the movie, it's going to be
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup.
Love it. Question number 2. What's your favorite golf club in your bag and why?
Well, right now it's the putter, but Victor will tell you it's my 4 hybrid. So 4 hybrid's probably going to be my sweet spot
Now, why would Victor tell us that?
Because
Is that beating him a few times?
No, Victor basically says, if me and you were on a team and there's $1,000 on the line, I'm handing you your 4 hybrid.
Nice.
So, and it's the only Maverick that's still in my bag. I take it back. My 3 wood's still a Maverick. But the 4 Hybo, she just does it well. And Sean put a shaft in there that said, hey, you could swing this however violently you want. It's, I believe, a 9TX Tensei. And it's just the money club, it'll move left, it'll move right, it stays straight, it goes its distance. Yeah. If it's a mishit, it's still playable, so that's probably the bread and butter. And I had to put in a mini driver in the bag because the big guy sometimes lets me down, or I guess I let it down.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. So, but the 4 Hybo is going to always be the 200 plus yards, stay away from danger. You could still pump it out.
Since you could still put it on.
It's a par 5 question, right? If it's a par 5, 220, you're chipping on.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the bread and butter.
I love that. Do you have a least favorite club in your bag?
All the rest. The one I'm holding. Least favorite, not right now. I think the one that scares me the most is the 5-iron. And it's just intimidating. So when I went and got fitted for them, that's why I went to the combo set. I went ZX7s on pitch through 7 because those are workable, they're playable, they just come out smooth. But looking down at butter knives as you're getting further and further away from the ball, that 6 and my 5 are the ZX5s. So it's a little bit thicker, and that's why I went from the Mavericks, because when I had the Mavericks, I'm like, man, I'm swinging Thor's hammer. And yeah, you're getting that extra distance,
extra couple of yards.
But it's like, is it really because you're playing better, or is it the block that's hitting the ball? But the 5-iron is the one that does scare me the most. Yeah. So I pull out the 4 hybrid.
That's great. Question number 3. I'm going to give you your dream foursome. So you get 3 players, any 3 people in the world, don't have to be golfers, that you are going to take to play a dream round of golf with. Who are you picking, and where are you going to play?
So for me, if it doesn't have to be golfers, it's going to be different people. And they're the tattoos on my body that's on my family arm that are not family. And I'll say number 1, it'll be Mr. Vin Scully himself.
Ooh, great answer.
Vin Scully. I just want to pick his brain.
He could tell stories all day.
And he doesn't even have to play. He could just ride in the car and be like, good morning to you, Dan. How are you doing? And I'd be like, it's Vinny. 2, probably Kobe.
Kobe.
I would put Kobe on a golf course. I don't know if he ever played golf.
He did not. He does not like to golf. I actually, I don't think you're watching these, but shout out Jared Washington. I'm pals with a guy who's married to Sharia, Kobe's sister, and I tried to get him to do a celebrity golf tournament for years, and he wasn't big into golf. Yeah. But I mean, he was all about basketball. That was.
And it's a matter of maybe even picking his brain of what would you implement from the court to the course.
Yeah, mentally.
And he'll probably say, wake up at 4 a.m. and hit golf balls.
Yeah.
Be the first one out and the last one home.
Yeah.
So, and I guess to throw in one golfer, I'd probably throw in Brooks.
Koepka. Yep. Not the first time he's come up, so that's fun. Yeah, I mean, people like the villains too. And they know how to play him, right? Him and DeChambeau both. It goes back to the wrestling thing. Yeah. They're not villains. They're characters. Just characters.
It's personality. Yeah. Because I met BDC out at Long Drive, and I went out there in my red, white, and blue Puma gear. So I had my Puma shirt, my Puma hat, and I think it was a couple years after he won his major, and I was like, "Hey, bud, like you're from Clovis. I grew up in Porterville, which is about 50 minutes away." Big fan, appreciate what you're doing. You're not a bad guy, bro. He was the last one out there signing for all the kids. He signed my hat.
That's cool.
I have my hat in its little display case. I'm like, it's not often you shake a major winner's hand and they're simply just cool with you,
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, bro, like just broing out,
That's great.
And it was through his probably his highest criticized portion of his career, where he's bulking, he's doing distance, he's doing long drive. Like, why? You don't need that. Well, he's doing that to help those guys out. You know, Martin was out there, everybody else was out there, and they're like, we wouldn't be getting this coverage if it wasn't for Bryson being out here.
Yeah.
So for BDC to be out there and DeChambeau to be hitting, and when you see a golf ball go 400 yards, it's stupid, Jed.
Yeah.
Like, you see it, and then you don't. And then you look at the TV screen, it still hasn't landed. And then they're like, 430. And you're like,
That's insane.
I'm like, that's 2 golf shots for most people.
Yeah.
So,
2 decent golf shots
Yeah.
for most people. Question number 4. Oh, wait, where would you play?
where will we play? Something memorable. I mean, I like every course, but I think the thing that resonates to me right now, just because their pricing's getting outrageous, it's Sawgrass.
Sawgrass.
So just getting out there and trying to hit that island. I'd probably hit it. I'd hit a ball 20 times that day to see if I could
Yeah.
get 5 to stick.
Yep.
You know, but seeing there, or the old course, you know, like, for me, I'm a sports guy. So when I first went to Wrigley and saw a Dodgers Cub game, I literally was like, oh, close your eyes, black
Mecca.
and white. Yeah.
Mecca.
See it in black and white, you know, like, what was it like in the Great Depression days? And same thing, you know, you go to the old course, you'd be like, holy crap, like,
Hundreds of
do
years.
I get a Persimmon and a feather golf ball? Like, how do I do this today? You know, so I think, yeah, I would probably have to be, if it was one and only one, the old course.
That's great. Question number 4. You brought up tequila earlier, so
Yes, sir.
I'm excited that we might have a tequila discussion here. What's your aiming fluid? What are you drinking when you're out on the golf course?
Birdie juice. No, if I'm golfing, it's going to be something clear, because I'm a bourbon guy before everything. And when I drink bourbon on the golf course, I cannot play. And I love it, but I leave it at home. But it's probably going to be number 1, transfusion. I just love me a transfusion.
Yeah.
And number 2 would probably be a Paloma. So a nice tequila
Little
blanco
tequila.
and grapefruit and some sort of spritz bubbles in there, you know. So it's the one thing that, and for me, I don't know if it's a cultural thing and tequila doesn't affect me the next day the way other juices do. I also heard that with Russians and vodka, but I think Mexicans and tequila, since it is agave, it's natural.
I'm an Italian, and tequila's the only drink I miss. And I would say the same thing. If I could stick the way my dad would drink scotch, just scotch over ice. If I could stick with a good tequila just over ice, I never had a hangover.
No.
And I could drink a bunch.
Yeah.
And so my favorite was Clase Azul Repo.
Okay.
What's your favorite tequila?
The next one. No. I
So
love
you're not
them
a
all.
connoisseur.
I love them. So, like,
What's your favorite bourbon?
bourbon, favorite is probably going to be the Four Roses single barrel. I just love the fact that it's available, it's priced evenly across the world, and it's always amazing.
I don't know of it. Tell us about it.
Four Roses, it's awesome. You got the blend, the small batch, and then the single barrel. So same thing with tequilas. It's all about how you're making it, right?
Yeah.
All the stuff that's coming out now with tequila that's celebrity branded, it's manufactured with diffusers and additives just to get it out, right? So why does a bottle of Jack Daniels cost you $20-some and a bottle of, let's call it Four Roses, 50, or when you're trying to get the ponies and the Blantons, you're paying 100, or your EH, you're paying 200 a bottle,
Right.
you know? And so my uncle Ray, who's the tequila connoisseur of Vegas, along with our other buddy Caesar, these guys have 5-figure tequila collections. And I have a buddy Corey who has a 5-figure whiskey collection.
Wow.
So it's just, you have the palate for everything. And so a lot of people are trying, with the tequila world, they're like, what's the consumed product in the U.S.? Well, bourbon is, right? That's the number one American product that's manufactured here. How do we get bourbon notes into the tequila industry? Well, my uncle just helped a distiller in Mexico broker a deal to buy barrels that were bourbon barrels and send them to tequila so that he could
wow.
distill his tequila, put them in the bourbon barrels, let it sit for 10 years, and then you get the añejos, you know. So with tequila, it's different because it takes the plant forever to be able to be harvested, right? So you're already 3 to 5 years just on the plant alone. And then you get the process. So the Blanco is the 0 to
Correct.
3 months. And then you get the Repo, that's 3 months to 1 year. And then you get Añejo, which means age, 1 to 3. Everything after 3 is the extra Añejo. So just like you're like, oh, I like the Repo, you're good. You're always going to find that product, right? If you have a soft spot for an extra Añejo, you're not going to. And you're going to have that collector's bottle, right? So I have bottles at home that people are like, let's open that. I go, no.
No.
Like, I'd rather give you the Don Julio or whatever that everyone sees on TV that you'll love, but you're not touching that one. Or that one's signed by the distiller. No.
Yeah.
You know? But I also have a bottle that was manufactured with a commissioned artist in Mexico, Hugo Aguilar. He's one of the few artists that's actually recognized by the Mexican government. And he designed and painted a Cava de Oro extra añejo tequila bottle for me. And he called it La Güera, which means the blonde. And he put a little like figurine of a girl on there with red, white, and blue art pieces and little blonde lines. So it's a depiction of my daughter in the form of art.
How
on a
great.
bottle.
Wow.
So if you're going to say, what's your favorite? That one.
Wow.
So Cava de Oro, out of El Arenal, Mexico, which is a little bit south of Guadalajara. So that's in the valles. There's 2 parts that make tequila. The valles, which is the valley, and the altos, which is the hills. And they're in on the way to tequila themselves. But I've been to their distillery. I've met their master distiller, met his mother, met his brother. And having that bottle is probably the it bottle for me.
That's fantastic. Question number 5. I'm sad that this is the last question and we got to wrap it up. Let's talk about, you don't strike me as an angry guy, but let's talk about anger on the golf course. I know you said you throw F-bombs around. Have you ever thrown a club? Have you ever broken a club?
So the Dunlops were thrown.
The original Walmart ones. Yeah.
Because there's no sentimental value to it.
And you were early in the game. And it was different.
But now, no. It's a matter of, I think the anger for me, it's more on myself. And then stepping away from it and getting the clarity now. It's the occasional curse words, and then you laugh.
And then that's how you blow off.
You kind of get the 17B random golf club in your head, laugh at your bad shots, and then the next one, right? Because that's the Tiger Woods mentality. What's the most important shot on the golf course? The one you're about to hit.
Yeah.
So if I chunk a shot, but I'm on in regulation, nobody saw that.
Right.
Right? You know, you drive, it doesn't hit the fairway, but you're on the green in 2. Nobody cares. Your stats are in your own app or whatever you're taking advantage of, but that's for you. And your score is what you could share with your friends. So I'm a big advocate on the 18 Birdies fan app because I now know when everyone's playing. You know, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then when I go to California, because I'm out there, I'll go to Huntington Beach and play with my buddies. One of my good friends just joined the Huntington Beach Club, the Huntington Club. And so he's like, come out and play. And I'm like, all right. And he's the guy that, all right, what are we playing for? I'm like, all right, well, I see you're doing this. I'll give you this. Actually, you're playing better. You give me this. We'll play for lunch. We'll play for drinks. And at the end of the day, most of the time you don't even square up. But you're chasing something, right?
Right.
So it's a matter of don't get mad at others, don't get mad and throw a tantrum. Like my biggest pet peeve on social media is seeing those people miss a putt and hit the green with their putter or jokingly tee it up on the green. I'm like, if they're ever on any golf course I see, they're done.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you ruining someone else's? Why am I waiting for you? If you're filming content, just like most content creators, they call, hey, when can I do it? Just like when you said, oh, you guys are going to do a taco challenge?
Yeah.
4:00, dude.
Yep.
We're clear. Cool, let's go out there. You're not going to play 18, but you're going to get what you want.
Yep.
If you're going to do your content, then it's got to be with the permission, right?
Yep.
I don't want to be hitting and hearing a drone chasing me, or that's what will frustrate me. But other than that, it's don't get mad. Don't throw a club. Like now that as you improve, your tools get better.
Yeah.
And like when people are like, I just laugh at when someone comes into the golf shop and it's like, I need a new shaft. It's like, that's in the middle. That's you. That's not on the hosel. Like I've broken a club and yeah, the shaft's in my hand. So then you're like, crap, but never this way,
Right.
this way, that way. So, I mean, get angry at what you did, but then just take it as a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
So it's the acronyms world. Fail. You didn't fail. It's your first attempt in learning. So
I love that.
what did you do? How do you fix it? Head down, swing through, fluffy lie, this. Ask a friend. Hey, Jed, what did I miss here? And you're like,
Yeah.
well, bro, you're going against the grain and you did that. Or sometimes you just don't hit it.
Yeah.
But that's on you.
Dan, you are clearly an advocate for golf.
Absolutely.
I'm just tickled that we finally got you on. This was fun, and we'll see you next week. Until next time, hit them straight.
Hit 'em
From your
straight and
friends at Angel
long.
Park. Cheers. Good
Appreciate you,
times,
dude.
man. That's
Absolutely.
fun, right?
Yeah.